Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Lexi. So, Lexi, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Kendrick. This is so fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, Lexi, can you please tell us your full type?
Yes, so I'm an ISFJ, audio, SIFE, blast, sleep, consume, play, number two.
Okay, cool. So, what did you think and how did you feel when you got your typing results back?
So I got the animals right, blast, sleep, consume, play last, but I thought I was an NIFE, like INFJ, of course. Um, and couldn't see, I could tell it was OI. So yeah, so literally like reality kind of shifted. I remember looking at my results and it just like so overwhelming, the new information. So it took me a couple days to digest, and uh Dave was like, go look at people in your same type and then go look at the INFJs. And so I did, and I was like, okay, I start to see it. So honestly, it was like very world changing in a good way because I realized you just start to see yourself more clearly. It hurts, it's kind of painful, but it's been really, really helpful to be able to trust the math and like stuff happens in my life. And I can be like, okay, I want to run away, but I need to do more play. I want to over control, but I need to loosen up and kind of in myself see where I'm doing stuff that annoys me about other people. Because I actually do get annoyed when SIs will give you like the little breadcrumbs along the way. It can be hard to listen to. But so yeah, that's a little bit of my processing story.
Yeah, your SI is interesting though, because it's connected to FE. So, it's not your sensory report that's typical of the ST report. Um,
Yeah, it's not an ST report.
yeah, why don't we talk about that first? So, your first animal is SF Blast, SIFE. How do you personally experience that, knowing that you have that as your first animal?
So it's easier to blast like talk with somebody like we are now if I can like get a FE vibe off of you. So like that's nice. And but like texting people is kind of draining. I really like being able to be in person because I can get those like FE electricity like and it makes it easier. Um and then interest like writing is really easy. I'd always like been a really good writer, which I think is interesting. But yeah, the other side of the blast coin, like the producing, I really, really like doing crafts. Like if I could just make like macrame and crochet and that kind of like really boring like home crafts kind of thing and it like support me and pay my bills, like that would be so cool. But in reality that just doesn't work. So yeah, that's kind of my blast is, and then the other piece, the SF blast is I really dominate when I'm with somebody who needs to like sleep last, work something out and process something, especially if it's emotions. So a lot of people will come to me, a lot of my decider friends, they'll come to me for the double decide because I can tell them kind of like the tribe perspective of what the tribe is valuing and why they're having that interaction. So that's where it's the most helpful. It's the least helpful in like the workplace for most jobs. For most jobs, it's not like super super helpful. I find myself knowing my type has been really helpful because I had been going after like real NT jobs, right? Like my demon function and realize I was like yeah, that's just setting myself up for failure and frustration to be in an NT role because it's such an insecure piece of myself that NT consume, like puzzling and fixing things. That's I want it, but like the humility of realizing it's one of your demons is, I think, really powerful.
Yeah, I can relate to what you said about you going to the NT role, but in a different scenario. So for me, I have a travel blog and travel YouTube channel, and I used to give people travel hacks, like strategies on how to save money on travel by using tricks and tips and whatnot. And I realized I wasn't ST enough, and I wasn't double observer enough to go at a high level compared to the ones who were really doing well in the space, which were all deciders because they can double observe.
Oh
So
man, what a bummer.
no, but it's good. It's good to know. you know?
It's good to know. It is good. It's good like to realize you have egg on your face, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop walking around looking like a doofus
Yeah.
in life and actually be able to see yourself. I feel like um I've used this analogy too many times. I'll continue to abuse it. But I feel like getting your ops type is kind of like you've been going through life and you've never seen a mirror. You've maybe like caught your reflection in the back of a spoon or like something reflective, but it's distorted. But you've accepted that as reality of what you look like. And then you find Dave and Shan and they hand you two mirrors so you can see like the front and you can see the back and you realize your hair's all messed up and it's breaks reality, but now you've just been handed two mirrors and you have like the ability to kind of see yourself 360 and like the third person. And how often do you get that? How often do you get like an objective way to see yourself? So it can be very brain breaking, but once you wrap your head around it and you kind of like suspend disbelief, which is something you use like when you're reading a book to be able to enjoy it. If you're sitting there reading the book and going, that's if it's fantasy, you're like, that couldn't happen. That's not real. Then you're not going to enjoy it. You have to kind of like suspend disbelief, take it in. Um, but ops is real.
Yeah, I think just knowing what your last animal is, that's where the problem is. And
Yeah,
having
that's
that
so true.
information, it's like, oh, I don't have to trial and error to find what I need to work on. It's like right here, you know?
Yeah, yeah. When in doubt, just do your last animal. Just
Yeah.
things start to move. The universe all of a sudden like starts to move. Things happen when you start doing your last animal, especially when it's play.
Yeah, your type is interesting. Because I'm talking to you right now and you seem like you're high play, but it could mean you're high friends, you know? Because you're
Yeah, yeah. Friends is high, but it's also something I've worked on for a long time. My dad is high play, and so it really wasn't an option to not do that demon function as a kid. Like, we would be in like groups of people and he would tell embarrassing stories about me, which is kind of like SF introverted, like the worst thing ever. But it was good exposure therapy. And then he's very playful. So, it's kind of like you've got somebody that's poking at your demon function, but in like an NF fun way. So, yeah, and that and like after being deprived in during like COVID and staying away from people so much, I definitely had a realization of, oh my gosh, when I don't have people, maybe it's like the number two coin, but I set a goal which was like when everything starts to go back to normal, I'm gonna do as much extroverted energy as I can. And so for the past couple of years, just if my friends invite me to do something, I say yes. And that's really hard. Like if they invite me to go to the dumb concert that I don't care about, I say yes. And this is like something I would recommend for the play lasts is when something new comes in, some random chaos, like try to say yes unless you absolutely can't. Like, but I'll also, I'll give myself a week to prepare. Like I'll say yes to something within like 2 weeks if it's like big, like going to a concert. But and at first it's like I don't want to be there. I really don't have fun. Like it's just draining. But after doing it for 2 years, like you get so much stronger, it gets easier and it gets more enjoyable. And I went from like nobody would ever invite me to stuff, which is like SF hell, like seeing on Instagram everybody else hanging out without you and they forgot you existed to invite you. Um, to like I get invited to stuff all the time and now I'm having to say no to stuff just because it's happening at the same time. So, um, that might look different like for SF that's what like play looks like is being with the with the people, with the group, having your tribe and feeling kind of popular there.
I see, I see. Well, it sounds more like very much like the friends coin and FE also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. I
yeah.
don't that's I need to start looking at what other types of play look like. I've just literally gone through the FENEs, so like the Ryan Reynolds. and been like, how can I do? Ryan Reynolds is just dominating across the board. Like, how can I be more like him?
Yeah, he's just very witty and good at burning people too at the same time. Even like he
Yeah,
the cool thing about him is even though he's a single decider, he feels double decider when he is joking around with people, you know? So he's doing a good job
he
with
does. He does. He married the right person because he trolls Blake Lively, which I hope I want to ask them to type her. Because they have like a really good relationship. This is another SF thing is I'm just like unconsciously, well, kind of consciously tracking. I love celebrity gossip. I try not to like get into the gossip side, but tracking like all of the famous celebrities and who they're dating and what's going on with them is like junk food.
I
I
see.
crave it. I want to do it. I feel a little bit embarrassed and shallow, but yeah, so Blake Lively is very much like a homemaker type, and he's like this FENE all over, and he trolls her on social, and she just rolls with it, like she loves it.
Maybe she's an IP because if he's an EJ, then it's a perfect match, right? If it's because
Yeah,
the
or if
original,
she's like, she doesn't feel sleep first, but you kind of expect it to be there. But yeah, she she could be she's definitely got more flex than him. If
yeah,
you've seen like what she
he's
wears to the
Cypress.
Oscars,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, because his first marriage wasn't the right fit, you know, like type
Who,
wise.
who did he marry the first time?
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, I forgot about that. No, that's a terrible match. Oh no, I'm so excited. I'm gonna go like deep dive into that later. Thank you, Kendrick. Thank you for the
No worries. No worries. So let's talk about your second animal now. This one is interesting because this second animal of yours is double activated and double masculine, ST sleep. Okay. I want to hear like it first before we, you know, dissect all the dimensions of it. So, how do you personally experience that double masculine, double activated ST sleep?
Oh, it's just it just runs me. It runs my life. To do the play, you have to turn down the sleep. So getting into like work mode and getting out of like the I want to like pick something and go like down and find my truth, and I is really hard. Uh, Now on the other hand, I have no problem hitting the brakes and processing. So like random, crazy chaos, bad, difficult things, bad emotions. Um, I can actually process them pretty well. And then being FE, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on identity because of that SITI, right? But yeah, the sleep energy, it definitely runs me. It's hard, like coming like again, like work is the hardest thing. Like especially being a number two, and when I show up, I have like the generalist and I want to like pants on fire, but the SITI is like pulling against it and wants to specialize down, but the social energy wants is terrified of that. So like Dave called it incongruent. So the sleep energy kind of works best when I can spend a lot of time just like thinking. Like I even as a kid, they called me the sleepy child. My aunt called me the sleepy child because I would get so overwhelmed being at the sleepover that I would go and hide and pretend to nap. But I would just be like trying to process all of the chaos. Uh, so yeah, the biggest way that the sleep uh manifests itself in my life is I literally need to be able to be alone, it be quiet, and be able to think. Like that's and it's hard to do that, like uh and be in living in the extroverted world to get enough time to do that.
All right, so that's one aspect of it is processing your thoughts deeply. Um, I'm just curious, when you're doing your deep processing, what kind of truths have you uncovered about yourself, you know, with the TI?
Um, Talking about my TI is like, ooh, it's so personal. It's so personal. Um, okay, let me think for a second. So lately my SITI truth is that I need to do more SITI. That I need to pull back on the generalist idea or energy and be more balanced. Like the truth is that NT is what I want to go after, but it is not my strength. It's a hobby. And what I need to be doing, my truth is that I'm really good at really boring things, and that I I see it come out in like my writing a lot. I'm a writer, but it's actually hard to do the SF writing. It comes out very ST. When I when I initially like blurt out truth, it's ST. So if I'm trying to write about anything true, it's just ST. So and it's hard for people. So I guess a lot of like my ST truth recently has been a little bit negative because I'm seeing myself and kind of realizing why as a kid I was called a know-it-all, and there's a lot. It can be kind of off-putting because uh it's an info dom, single observer, double introverted ST of my truth, what I have gathered in, the sensory information I have gathered in that is true, and I will fight you on the ST of my truth of the sensor that I have picked. And I'm starting to see where I've really like cherry picked sensor and grabbed onto it and I'm not gonna let it go. So yeah, I don't know if that's a great explanation. My TI truth literally feels like the most vulnerable thing in the world to share. So
That's so interesting because the sleep animal is so crazy because like what's personal for one person is not personal for someone else.
yeah,
It's so weird. Like the ST for me is not personal, right? But like I have a friend who's an ESFJ and he has ST sleep, and things like how much money you earn is personal, and I'm like, that's not personal. I tell everyone how much I earn.
I
I
don't
don't.
think that's personal either. That's so interesting.
Oh, okay. Maybe because he has it on a demon's place, you have it in a savior, so it's like not as bad, or maybe because you're savior friends and you don't have a high ego, so you don't really care, So there's a lot of different factors.
Maybe. Although, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'll tell you how much I make, but I don't want to tell you how much is in my bank account.
Oh,
You know?
I
Like I
see.
don't want to tell you how much is in savings. The friends coin doesn't extend that far.
I see. Gotcha. All right.
Um, oh crap, I was gonna say something now I can't remember, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also when you were talking about SF sleep or ST sleep, sorry. Um when you're writing, your writing becomes like an ST report essentially. It's kind of interesting you said that because when you were saying that, I was thinking about the way I write, and I'm sleep last, but when I write, it's SF stuff. It's about feelings, and I'm writing
Mm.
about feelings. So it's very interesting how your sleep world, when you go to writing, automatically defaults to your sleep animal, and and then you get to show a different part of you, essentially, right? Because like essentially you have four different parts, and you approach things differently. Like for example, you have anti-consume, right? So if you want people to see you from an external perspective, you want to be seen as someone that's smart and good at figuring things out, right? So it's kind of, and then so those, for example, my quadra, we have NF consume, so we like to be seen as someone that's wise and altruistic, right? Mr. Beast, for example, like the image that he portrays is he's doing philanthropy work, giving away free money and stuff, right? So but then you
I
see,
hadn't put that together. That's interesting.
right, and then you see the other YouTubers, like let's say the ESFPs, and they're showing up their blings, their cash money, whatever, and it makes sense because they have exactly, yeah, they want to make it rain. It's because they have SF consumed, so their external self-image is SF, But the weird thing is inside they're NF, right? and it's kind of like the opposite of my quadrants and versus you, who has that ST. So I want to ask you about the ST part in terms of what's personal is competence. So ST is tied to competence. So would you be very aggressive if we're pushed to prove that you are not someone that is incompetent, but in fact very competent at your job or work?
Oh yeah, I'll fight you.
Because it's double masculine, right?
I'll fight you with like toothpicks, but I'll fight you. Yeah, that's definitely like also the TI is it's identity, it's personal, it's insecure. So again, like at work, like somebody comes for me on competency and it's like I've got all this sensor, nope, like I've already thought about that. That's tied up like um but yeah, that's like a huge thing is when I'm in like the workplace, I want to be competent and I want to bring value to the tribe. Um, and kind of like that SF thing is like I want to feel like the company that I'm working for is making more money because I work there, right? I want to not feel like I'm a drain. I want to feel like competent, like nobody can come for me for anything. I haven't screwed anything up. I've not made any mistakes. So that's the the FE doo 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 mixed with like the ST I'm not moving is and then the number 2 energy pants on fire
Yeah.
is a real recipe.
What are you doing a specialization kind of job or are you doing a generalist kind of job? Like are you in management or are you more doing like a certain task that that
Um right now I'm trying to do the number 2 start a business, and after I started trying to start a business, I saw David Shan's videos on like don't try and start a business. And now I'm like, "Oh my gosh,
you
it's
made a
so
video
true."
on that for number
Yeah,
two?
go it wasn't for number 2, it was like before. It was like somebody put in it was one of the Q&As. Somebody was like, "Hey, how do I start a business? I want to start a business." And they were like, "Don't start. Just do it on the side. But as soon as you start a business, all of this pressure and like this anxiety and like it's so heavy to like just lift a business off the ground. You have to start it over here and let it like grow."
Oh,
Um,
so they're saying do it as a side hustle first.
yeah,
Don't quit your
yeah.
day. Yeah.
So I've been trying to start this business, but it's just like bad time of year. And I went back to AC, which is where I had worked previously. And so I was like, this is where I have the most knowledge. This is where I've done the most consume. I can do the most blast. And it's just been like really heavy. Like doing the sales calls is so draining. Doing all the cold call. Um, when I get somebody, I can kind of like get them into my IJ spider web.
Yeah.
But that's been really heavy. So that's what I'm trying to get off of the ground, but also because my pants are on fire, trying to get into coaching with ops and starting to realize my TI truth is ops, that the ops code is the most real thing, like that it's kind of like ST tangible, it's real, like, and that's really what I want to be spending all my time and energy on. And I have to figure out a way to make that work in reality. And if I can make that be the thing that pays my bills, like that would be what would make my identity feel the best. Like that's like it would be my truth as if I could. So I'm working on a book also. I'm working on this book called The Introvert Survival Guide for the kind of like the SE or the SF, FE of like your mom. Does your mom know anything about ops?
No.
Yeah. So my mom's like, "What are you doing, honey? You spend a lot of time on that ops stuff. I hear you talk about it. I don't understand it." But my mom does understand like introvert extrovert, and she wants to know more about what I'm doing. She likes Myers-Briggs, right? Um, so I'm like I'd like to create these books of just like a very beginner's guide to ops, like really, really dumbing it down so that it's easy for somebody to start to understand the real basics, and also get something out of it, like get something real out of their life, of just, even if it's like this something Dave said in one of the audios, is that if you can figure out whether you're an introvert or extrovert, like that'll make a huge difference in your life. If you can figure out, that'll tell you what your last animal is, basically. If you can puzzle that out and then figure out which of those two, like either for introverts, if it's play or blast, that's pretty easy to like figure out yourself, hopefully. You can start to make a huge difference in your life. So yeah, number 2, pants on fire.
Yeah,
All over the
there's
place.
you're doing a lot of different stuff, so definitely a number
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hearing your story with the writing and the business you're trying to get off the ground and
Yeah.
whatnot. You also have a cognitive dissonance because you don't have any savior animals that is tied to any savior socials. So everything's backwards for you because you're blast sleep, right? And blast sleep is tied to specialization. So you have your animal stack is essentially a number 3, but you're number 2, right? Because you have flex demon and or sorry, you have flex demon, but you have savior sleep, and then your play last, but your savior friends. So everything's backwards and opposite. And
That's life.
the animals come first also, right? So
Yeah.
because you're doing blast sleep, that means you're doing specialization work when you shouldn't be doing specialization work, when you should be doing generalist work. The good thing though is you're forced to do specialization work early on in your life because of that savior animal. So you do have depth into your work. So sloppy work is not going to be as bad as like any social type number 2 who has not done any specialization or any blast at all, because the blast is needed, right, to hone the craft or sharpen the spear, essentially, right? So, so you've done some of that already. So you're not gonna be the person that is gonna be doing all the sloppy work. Plus, you have ST sleep, so obviously competence is important.
Yeah, what happens is, to be competent, I have to move so slowly. So the last place I had to move quickly, and that was really hard because I'd have to be it was like expected to be high competency but quick. And like that's almost impossible. Like, so that's very difficult, is like the ST sleep is slow. Um and yeah, like I want to spend the majority of my day. It's interesting how it comes up in uh physical reality, like how my day literally progresses is like, you said you wanted to do this. It's 8 a.m. my time, 8 your PM your time.
Right.
So I was like, that's fine. I can blast first thing in the morning. I can, and then around 10, the sleep kicks in, and I'll get like a sleep consume thing where I want to like
Oh, really?
uh inner world consume something in my bubble, So I'll want to do ops for a few hours, or like write. But yeah, the sleep consume can takes up like 10 to 3 of my day, of just what my animals naturally want to be doing, which again, like at work, I need to be able to blast from 8 to 5,
Right.
usually like the expectation. So trying to find some place where I can do like blast and then sleep consume, and then about 10 p.m. I'm tired and I want to go to bed, but I look the most awake. Like my dark circles like suddenly go away, like they back into my body.
Wait.
Uh
So your play kicks in at 10 p.m.?
yeah. Well, like physically in my body, like I look the most awake. And if I can nap during the day, uh I can stay up till 2 a.m. So like probably the ideal sleep schedule would be like sleeping for part of the night, and then I get insomnia around 4 or 5. And then if I allow that to happen, then I'll crash by about noon, like noon to 4. Like if I could break my schedule into 2 sleep sessions, like 4-hour stints, like that would be ideal. But yeah, if we could all go back to being animals. Uh-oh, I lost sound. Oh, Kendrick, you're muted.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's like Tom Cruise pretty much is what I was saying, when he goes get really hyper after he's done all his work, right? And
Yeah,
now he wants to play with people, and then people are
yeah.
like, "What is this stuff you're doing like late at night?" Um,
Yeah, me and my friend went to Savannah, Georgia, which is like a college party town a little bit. And she's the extrovert and I'm the introvert. And she got me out to go clubbing one night and we left at like 9 or 10. And at 2 a.m., she was like, we gotta leave. Like, we gotta go to bed. I'm sleepy. And I was like, let's keep going. And she was like, who are you?
that's so good. I love it. That's crazy. That's crazy how that comes out, at like the most strange time. That
Yeah, if you get me somewhere where the music is good and there's dancing, I'll stay. I'll do the play until I fall down.
I think it also powers you up because you're audio kinesthetic. So the music and the
Yes,
movement. Yeah.
yes, yes. The audio kinesthetic of the dancing is
Yeah.
like I can that's where the play energy. So like I said, like my friends asked me to go to a concert. That's an easy yes, even if I don't like the band. Like so.
Oh, as long as you can listen to music and dance, it's good.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate as a fellow audio kinesthetic person. So
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but not late at night because I'm sleep last. So I'm done by the end of the day. So yeah. Um, One last thing about your ST sleep I want to ask you about is your SITI health routine. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so there's four different aspects to that, right? There's your exercise, there's nutrition, there is the physical sleep, and there's mental health, right? So how do you personally address each of them? And one of the community members, the way he labeled it, he was an ENTP. He called it having a body that works. Okay. So pretty much those four aspects make sure that your body works optimally. So what are your routines for each of those aspects? And because you're a saver sleep, I have a feeling you have something going on for each of them.
What? Me, a routine? Um, so it's actually been something I've had to work on more. Uh, Probably because I was raised with people who didn't have a routine. So it's actually as an adult been something I've had to develop. But funny enough, like I do like to eat healthy, but I do have like a consume swing. So it gets if I like drive past a McDonald's and I smell, I lose like self-control. And then I like hate myself because it's like messed up my ST
Yeah,
like healthy.
I get that.
Uh but I actually a couple years ago was eating, so this is like the negative of it is like I'll find like a healthy food. I'll like find a healthy food routine like a spinach omelet with tomatoes, and then I'll eat something healthy for lunch, and then I'll do like salmon for dinner. But I'll do it too much. I'll eat the too few foods, like the same foods over and over again. And I did that until I got sick. So like I had all these crazy health things, which any demon terrified me, made me think I was dying. And I went to my doctor and like I had to have like all this blood work done and I had all these food intolerances, but it was like intolerance to salmon, intolerance to spinach, intolerance to tomato and
What?
garlic and things like that. And I was like, and she was like, what have you been eating? And I was like, those foods. And she was like, okay, if you eat the same foods over and over again, your body, it like is irritating to your body. You need to eat like a bigger diversity. And I'm like, but it's in my routine. Like, so having to find new and like it's so draining to like I have this whole routine of I do like my Walmart pickup order and I've got lists saved of like my foods and so it's like very I've systematized it so much that there's no room for like new random. But my husband's kind of yibby skibby, so I have him come to the he comes to the grocery store with me. And so like if I go to Fresh Market or something, I try to like pick up something new and random and healthy. But yeah, so then exercise is hard because play lasts. So like I literally don't want to move. Like but I got into like Pilates and stuff, and I went I have scoliosis, so I ended up going to this physical therapist, and that was huge. Like she gave me a routine, and having somebody to like help me figure out the correct, like ST correct way to do things. And then the routine that I enjoy the most is like skincare. I have a lot of skin problems, so getting like a really good skincare routine that actually works is like the most satisfying. I feel like the most accomplished in life when my skin is good because I battle like acne. So having like finally figured out with the dermatologist like what works. Tracking the patterns is so hard. It's like I literally have to write things down. When I write things down and journal them, I can figure out the pattern. But if I have to connect, I will just connect it wrong. I grab onto the sensor and like hold onto it tight, and it's I haven't grabbed enough. I've picked the like held onto the wrong ones. But yeah, so those are my routines.
It's funny you mentioned the skincare routine because me and my girlfriend, we work part-time at this fitness center. It's like a community center. We have this coworker who has really nice skin, and then my girlfriend asked him, it's like, what's your skincare routine? And it's like, I wash my face with soap, with a bar of soap. And that's and then he has like perfect skin. So, some people just get lucky, right? And
Some people just get lucky. I've got like 15 products
yeah. And then
and
there's
they all cost $50. Like it's ridiculous. It's horrible.
oh yeah, I think you women get like price scam for all this
Yeah, we do get
product.
gouged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awful. Let's talk about your next animal now, NT consume.
Oh, fun.
So you have it activated, so it's not missing. It is present, and
Yeah,
clearly you've digested the OPS content with your NT consume, and it's
yeah.
also your external self image. So it's kind of like what you project to the world is NT.
Hmm.
Uh, at least try to. So how do you personally experience those aspects of it, which is A, the external self-awareness and self-image to make sure that you're seen as someone that's NT, and also consuming the NT stuff yourself, looking for solutions when you have a problem, because that's what NT is, solving problems, right?
Yeah. So I've like consciously backed off on trying to present as NT since getting my type back, because you're just peacocking so hard and it comes off it's not convincing. So, I used to, again, like really try to go out for these jobs where I'm solving problems, and I think I'm so good at like with technology and fixing things and like automating and uh really into this sticks. This is still with me. I'll carry this forever, but like really into like fantasy and sci-fi. Like I love consuming anything like fantasy sci-fi. Again, like that's easy because I was like a kid. My dad was like, here's Isaac Asimov's I, Robot. Here, read this, or like Larry Niven, or like, um, so like all this way out there, imaginative consume. Like I love that. Like, don't make me watch or read an autobiography, like an autobiographical thing. Like, please don't. All I want to like Dune came out, and I'm like so about it. I've like read the book several times. I like just read the second one. It's so weird. It's horrendously weird. But I really like it. But yeah, like presenting myself as like the nerdy girl who's like not like the other girls. Like I like sci-fi. Uh, or just being too much of a know-it-all of like I could solve that problem. I'm like thinking back into high school and just like people being like, what's wrong? Okay, Hermione. Literally, like, I worked a job where just every day this guy was like, okay, Hermione. And now I'm like, that's fair.
That's funny that you mentioned that about the stuff that you consume because I did notice that people that is your quadra and my quadra, we don't like to consume real stuff. We like to consume like fake world stuff, you know.
Yeah, I live in the real world and I get enough of that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and I think the autobiography stuff, I feel like those kind of books are more for deciders. Because for us, like single observers, we're like, what people? I wanna
Yeah,
like that's
like
not
Conan
easy.
O'Brien. Conan O'Brien is this Tene,
Yeah.
and he loves reading autobiographies. Like when I found that out, as I loved Conan, i- if that's it, that's probably like one of the few like real things I'll consume is like his podcast. It's hilarious. But again, it's like that, you know, it's like that any. But yeah, he consumes just a ton of autobiographies. And I'll talk to other people because I love reading. I'm a big like book nerd, but it's in my IJ box of fantasy, and I will not finish a book unapologetically. I'll start a book. If I don't like it by the third chapter, toss. And other people will be like, "How do you like you don't want to know how it ended? Like you don't want to finish it?" And I'm like, you know. Um, but I'll talk to people who are like, "I can't read fantasy." And I'm
Yeah.
like, I why would eh, why would you want to read anything like contemporary?
Yeah, I think those people with extrovert sensing, they don't like to consume fantasy as much unless
Mhm.
you know, unless it's a movie format, you know.
Yeah, they'll say like, I don't like Star Wars isn't real. I don't care. Like, why would I think it's dumb. And I'm like, that hurts me.
Okay, you know what? I think those people are wrong, you know. I'm gonna
They're dumb and wrong.
yeah, dumb and wrong exactly. I'm just gonna say it because I feel like everything human has ever created started with imaginations, and you know the imagination is the template to eventually using the SI to climb the ladder towards building that thing. So at first it sounds like woo woo nonsense until it's not, you know, like like
Yeah,
flying
that's true.
like flying cars. We have those now. You know, they look like drones though, but you know, like
Yeah.
we have them, and so like everything that was thought of from a fantasy novel or a fantasy movie is starting to get there, you know. So
Yeah. I can like double decide, see where they're coming because when like I have a friend where she doesn't want to read fantasy sci-fi and we're little book nerds together and we'll occasionally try and read a book together. Friends coin. Um and she likes the contemporary. And when I've forced myself to read it, there's been a couple times where I'm like, wow, that was beautiful. Like the human experience, like you get um really tied to like what it's like to be a human in the real world and finding meaning there. Like I have to push myself outside of my box to do that. I don't want to do it. I want to know that it's good before I consume it. Like I don't want to expend the energy and then it be not life changing. But in a couple instances, it's life changing. And so I can see the value, but I want to consume it like 1 out of 100.
oh, so that's what contemporary is. I saw a movie or maybe a documentary. It's called Nomadland, I think that's the name of it. I don't know if you've heard of it. Um,
I
but
haven't, but yeah.
that was really good. It's like real life, but it was really good. I thought I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
well done.
Yeah, occasionally. Like I can't get into the Janet Ivanovich it's like she's a bounty hunter. They made a movie out of the first one with uh what is her name? Nobody likes her. The 21 Dresses chick. But yeah, so it's too real. It's boring. I feel like I could just look out the window and like get the same content or something.
It's such an insult.
It is such an insult. Um, yeah, it just feels boring, but that's probably just because big piece of that is I'm always looking at the tribe in real life. And so when I go into consume, I want to like kind of flip that piece off, the SF piece. But I will consume what the celebrities are doing, you know. Or
Oh,
now like the YouTubers. What are the YouTubers doing?
I see. So you'll consume celebrity and influencers.
Yeah.
Um, the thing that I hate consuming the most, probably not the most, but maybe tie with boring SI reading a manual, but like um
Yeah. Even I don't want to do that.
no, you'll write it, but you won't
I'll
read
write it.
it.
I
You won't
will
read
write it and
you
you
won't,
will read it.
yeah, you'll read it. Yeah, you're not gonna read it. Is reality TV shows. Like I can't stand them. I feel like my brain rots
Oh,
every
really?
yeah.
Mm,
Do you like them?
I do.
Is
It
it
has
just
to be a good one.
no, is it because you're an IJ though, and you want some chaos in your life? But like
I do like
a
watching the chaos.
but as an observer, like you're not in the chaos,
Yeah,
but to watch it.
I would have to leave. Like, I'd have to leave the mansion or whatever. I wouldn't be able to stay there, but I will watch it. Like, me and my husband love, this is one thing I can get him in on my like SF is The Bachelor, or even better, Bachelor in Paradise. The drama and the SF, like, they create their little bubbles, and I love watching who ends up being like seen as being really valuable, like what girl or what guy everybody's fighting over. And a lot of times there'll be like a wave of like, of course the producers are producing it. I wish it was more organic. um but yeah, and like the first season of UK Love Island, before it kind of like got kind of formulaic, like that first season of UK Love Island, there was just like this couple, and they were kind of felt like Pamela Anderson and who was the rocker guy she
Tommy
was
Lee.
with? Tommy Lee. It feels like one of those train wrecks, and it was so entertaining. They'd be like screaming at each other. She'd have like clay masks that cream all over her face, like and they're just like screaming at each other. So yeah. Occasionally, I
Okay,
like a reality TV.
I'm curious now. So you're an IJ and you like to watch chaos, even though you don't want to be a part of it. You're also a double decider. So it's I've always found this very interesting. Um, because I think the ESFJs would not want this to happen, but because you're a double decider, it's kind of like it's fine. So if there's stuff happening like this with people that you actually know, um, how would you how would you approach it, or would you hands off? You're like, I'm gonna walk step backwards slowly while still watching because I'm kind of entertained also at the same time, but I'm not
Bye.
gonna yeah.
No, I'm like, I'm gone. I'll call later. So tell me all about it. But like, I don't want to be in the room. If people are arguing, I leave immediately. I gotta run away so fast. The feminine FE, I don't like negative electricity, no bad emotions. Especially
But
like yelling if it
but
gets like
but
intense.
but you like it secondhand because you said
I
you
like it secondhand. I
you
like
want
it
someone to
secondhand.
tell you what happened.
Although, like, if there's too much, if there's too much like screaming like that, occasionally it'll just be so combative, especially if like two like STs start butting heads. I get real like, it's annoying. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to consume that. And then interestingly, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, can't stand it. Can't do it. Cannot. Like it feels SF gross. It feels so
What
shallow. But I have a friend who loves a couple friends who love it.
what's SF gross about it from your perspective?
It just it feels like everything bad about SF.
But they're the most
Like
popular, so
I know they're the most popular.
their SF is the strongest.
There's so much plastic surgery. It's so fake. They're so mean to each other. I mean, part of it is I think it's a bunch of ESFPs.
Yeah, they're all
Um,
ESFPs. Yeah.
and they're just so mean to each other and so unaware of themselves and like just not down to earth is what it feels like to me. Now I have a couple friends that would like fight me about this. But yeah, it makes me sad. I don't feel like they have any like substance. And maybe it's like an SIFE thing versus like an SEFI thing. Like they have access to like the best clothes and the best house and like all the best things and like a lot of it, like the most popular stuff. But I'm like, yeah, it feels fake.
Well, it's definitely fake, but at the same time, it's kind of
Yeah.
scary how because they are the top SF that this is what humanity values. This 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 thing is what humanity values, and ultimately, when you're in show business, you're only giving people what you want. So even if the show is fabricated, essentially they found the formula that people want to see, and it's kind of
Yeah.
sickening, but it's also true. It's kind
Yeah.
of I don't know what to do.
It gives me nightmares.
Yeah. Um,
uh yeah, like that I have a hard time, but then Selena Gomez did her My Mind and Me, I think it's called. And it was really sad. Like at the end, I felt bad for her, but that was actually like an autobiography kind of thing. It's still fake, it's curated, it's very much from her perspective. I know we're doing Selena Gomez, so I'm very in a few weeks, so I'm very excited about that. But yeah, like kind of the contrast. I love Taylor Swift. I loved her uh the movie she did, Miss Americana. Um so it's funny being a picky kind of SF and being kind of snobby about it. Uh
I
but
think
yeah, the
Taylor
Kardashians are not in my box.
I think Taylor Swift is starting to get some hate now too, because I'm reading some comments on YouTube, and people are like sick of seeing her everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a weird thing, because like she's not doing anything bad per se. It's just that she's just overly overexposed. So it's kind of
Yeah.
that kind of deal. So
She's dominating right now. And so yeah, it's she's everywhere. And that's kind of like the SF way. Like it builds to a certain point where it there's a it builds to a certain point like it's a tidal wave, right?
yeah,
It is its own tidal wave. She's ridden such a big wave that there's going to be like reverberations and shock and some negativity of just, of she did a world tour. Like and she like I went and there were 70,000 people 3 nights in a row that packed out the stadium in Tampa. I'm in Florida.
wait, she performed there 3 nights in a row?
Yes. And she for 4 hours is running.
Wow.
Just like it's the amount again, like the amount of just doing your demons of just the world starts to move.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I like Taylor Swift from kind of a double decider of and a little bit of like analyzing because like I kind of so like I have a little bit of dissonance. So like I listen to her lyrics and like the SENI of her lyrics is so simplistic that I look at it and I'm like, it kind of feels like a child wrote it. Like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel multifaceted and it's so wrapped around her FI favorites. And it's very wrapped around her. There's all these themes that recur, but it's all about her. So it's kind of like not very accessible. Um, but it's boppy and it's catchy and
yeah,
like you can put it on and it's like it's easy and it's kind of like consistently good, right? It's
yeah.
not like mind-blowingly good. It's not like, oh my gosh, wow, the talent and the depth. Um, so she's an interesting one I like to watch kind of from just that lens. But yeah, the NE and SCNI of it feels a little like weird. She has opposite functions of me, so it all feels a little bit like it's done in crayon instead of like watercolor.
Well, it's working, so can't
But it
argue with
is
myself.
ST working.
Exactly. Let's talk about the last topic before we wrap up this interview. So the last topic I want to cover is something that you just mentioned is, Taylor Swift is working on her demon. She's blast last, and she's blasting stronger than anyone in history. Although her blast is double masculine also, so it kind of makes sense. So your last animal is play. It's NF play. Um, what do you feel is missing there? Because I'm talking to you right now, and you seem to be able to do, more or less back and forth conversation. So you're not missing that aspect of play. So so I feel like if you're missing something, it's probably the NF side of it, like
Mm,
the more woo-woo or reading the vibe from the tribe. Although you do
mhm.
have FE as in a savior with your blast. So where do you personally feel is what's missing with your NF play?
So something I've been sleep processing is kind of like, so you've got these animals and you got to grab them with two hands. And one is, so like with my consume, it's both demon functions is trying to lift it and move it around. But with play, I've got a savior function, which like my FE is like in the middle, so it's like super charged, and then like my little NE. So I feel like when I lift it, it's kind of like wham, it's like very unbalanced and it's wobbly. Um, so I think it probably just comes off kind of weird. I'm sure that there's a lot of people uh that it's a little bit too much. I'm kind of known for like my weird FE faces. Like a few years ago, my ESTGA friend was like telling a story and she was like, "Ah, Lexi with her faces." And I was like, and then I was like, "Oh, oh no, oh no." Like could see myself all of a sudden. I was like, "Oh." Uh and then yeah, the random value of the tribe used to give me so much social anxiety. Like I had a tremendous amount of social anxiety and living with a play and being married to a play and loving a play, I just like to keep up with him in his social life, I had to develop it. And I just had to kind of get to a place where you stop kind of like SF caring about how you're viewed in the tribe and just try to like go with vibes. So it takes a tremendous amount of energy, but I can like kind of do it now and a lot of practice. So probably what's missing is probably like swings that are weird. Like, were you on the live show? Did you see me in the alien suit?
No, I haven't seen much of the live shows. I usually watch the replays. So.
Yeah, well, when you watch the replay, I when we went to buddy time, I went on buddy time with an alien suit on. So
Oh, that's your play. Being quirky,
yeah, I
essentially
think
eccentric.
yeah, it's like when I try to do it, it's probably too quirky. It's too weird. And when I look at I'm modeling after the FENEs, but realistically in real life, I think when I try to do play hard, it probably comes off as one of the NEFEs, and they actually irritate me. Like when I go through that doc, I'm like, uh, uh, uh,
So you get
uh,
irritated by the FENE people, the savior ones,
the NEFEs. So like
the ENTPs.
the ENTPs.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
because they're your opposite.
Yeah, it feels like yeah, it's literally like the balance because like I can't do the NF as a double observer. Like I'm a weird NEFE when I do the play. I'm gonna be the weirdest NEFE. So I like go through the doc and I see and it just feels like weird, but they're doing like an FENF, right? But it's easier for me to like go over to the double observer doc, look at like Ryan Reynolds, or there's like a couple others of like the FENE, like Robert Pattinson, I think,
Yeah,
another FENE.
yeah,
Uh, but of course, like they can do the NESI much better than I can. Uh, but yeah, I think the other piece is I don't know what's missing. Like I'm trying to do it and then kind of troubleshoot through where's it weird, where is it coming across strange, and where am I messing up with the NF? And probably a bit of it is just being a double decider and being too trolly, like maybe like teasing people and then actually like hurting their feelings on accident, like and making the vibes bad. Um, but yeah, that is the question is where am I screwing up the NF? Because I can't see it very well. I'm having to trust the tribe.
yeah. That NF play is super tricky. I think the one thing I've seen people with NF play do, like what's her name, Ellen DeGeneres,
Oh
um,
yeah.
is she'll like troll people to get like an emotional rise out of them, but she usually does it in a way that would make someone come across as like a weirdo, because like that's
Yeah.
like what NF is.
And
Uh,
she's traumatizing all the deciders. Like
yeah,
they
did she
need to
make
have
Taylor
something.
Swift cry several times or something?
Yes. Yes. Like hysterics. Uh yeah, so she's not on my list of like trying to be that. But I do think and it's easier too, like now I'm in my 30s. Probably if we talked 10 years ago, it'd be a very different conversation. Uh but yeah, trying to not be Ellen DeGeneres and be closer to like a Ryan Reynolds. Um, and then maybe someday I'll look in the NEFE doc and like really have appreciation for what they're doing over there. I think Cumberbatch, is he
Yeah,
an
he's
NEFE?
also yeah, he has NEF, yeah.
He's okay. I do like him a lot and I like love Sherlock. That's in my IJ box is the him in the Sherlock.
I think he's perfect as Doctor Strange. I can't think of anyone else that could have played that role.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like I
for
was
sure.
like, yeah, when I saw him as Doctor Strange, I'm like, oh, he is Doctor Strange. I can't even see him as not Doctor Strange, even when he's being Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm like, he's Doctor
Yeah.
Strange. He's not Benedict Cumberbatch.
But
You know.
then when I see him in interviews, I don't feel any pull to try and like be more like him.
So I
Sorry.
guess you haven't found one that you feel like you can model in a way
Yeah, yeah,
that resonates with you.
yeah.
I
I
know
gotta find one.
I did make one shorts of Ryan Reynolds making fun of Hugh Jackman. I don't know if you saw it, but like you saw that one? Where
Mm-mm. But I
yeah,
know of you know, their relationship is fantastic.
so he was saying something like, "Oh, these days I like to make the kind of movies I like to make are either people that are really smart. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. They're really smart and really competent and really good at acting or their job, or people that are his best friends. And unfortunately, none of those qualities apply to Hugh Jackman. Like that's like the NF play that like that he's using, which I think is like really good, right? I'm like that's good, like
Yeah.
he put the setup first, like the trap, and then he went for it, right? So I feel like with NF play, you have to set. Oh, you know what? That's what NF play is. You're setting traps because Ellen DeGeneres does it all the time. She always sets
Oh,
traps for her guests, right? And if Ryan,
yeah.
okay, so that's what these guys are doing. They're setting trap, like emotional traps, to get an emotional rise out of you, So they'll put like a bunch of stuff, and then when you step, it's like a landmine, and when you step with it, it's like boom, emotional reaction. Uh,
Yeah.
and
My
because there's,
poor, I was just gonna say my poor husband, because I do think kind of like unconsciously, I'm just trying to like uh, trick him, play jokes on him. Like I saw this on TikTok and I did it to him, where you put gold stars on the fridge for no reason, no context. You don't say anything about it. Oh, you write their name. So I wrote his name and I just started adding gold stars next to it, just
right.
randomly. And he got like he was like, I have gold stars, like, and he was like really about it. And then one day you just take them all away for no reason. And so I did that and I had my phone. I was gonna like make a TikTok. And he like see and he's like crushed, crushed. He turns around, sees me filming him, and he's like, was that for a TikTok? And he's like, he was genuinely NF messed up for months. And still, like, if I say the word gold star, he's like upset about
Oh,
it.
you're a
So
jerk.
I'm a jerk, I'm a giant jerk. So you gotta pick the right person who can handle the trap.
Okay, but it's good. It's good that we came up with like a concrete way of how it actually works. It's a trap.
Absolutely.
You're setting
Absolutely.
a
I
trap.
I
NF
agree.
play is setting a trap. Oh my God, that's so good. All
Yeah,
right.
you've discovered something. You've discovered a new pattern.
Yes, I like how you mimic Shan's voice. Um, I think it's also like a trap because it's like NE, so it's like in the future. So there's like multiple possibilities that could happen where you can get an emotional reaction of this person. So when you set the trap, there's multiple things that could happen, and all of them you're prepared for, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I can't wait to get my dad typed because I think he's somewhere in that because he used to literally set traps for us. Like we had a stairway and so like you would walk past the stairway up here and then you could be hiding down here. And so I was like a kid and he grabbed my ankles and like picked me up and like held me upside down over the banister and was like ha 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 And I'm like screaming bloody murder. My mom is like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "This is the funniest prank ever." Like, there's a lot of Ellen DeGeneres stuff where he would like hide and like pop out and scare me, and like um, just stuff like that. Like pour out your orange juice and like replace it with like something else, and just like that kind of like practical joke stuff.
Right.
But maybe that helps a little bit too, is the NF childhood trauma.
Yeah. It's good because the next person I have scheduled to interview is ironically NEFE.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
gonna go ask him this
I'm
question.
crying.
I'm gonna
I
ask him
very
this
much
question about the
like
traps and stuff. I'm curious now.
Yeah, ask him about
Yeah.
the traps.
And
I'm
I'll be like, oh
excited.
yeah, I interviewed Lexi. Yeah, she hates you guys. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she hates you.
She hates you. All
No,
right.
that'll be good. That'll be good.
We'll wrap up the interview here. So Lexi, thanks again for coming out and sharing more about your life as this specific type. Although I would say your play is quite good. I think your Save Your Friends really shines, in my opinion. You know.
Thank you, Kendrick. Thank you for taking the time out. This was really fun. This is super fun. Thank you.
All right. Well, take care.
Bye.